In our last video, we talked about reading and a little methods that we can use to be better at reading the Bible. Well, after we've read the Bible, the next part of Bible study is that we understand what it is that we are reading. We want to be better at understanding the Bible. And understanding the Bible means that we take that passage that we've just read and we really are asking ourselves, what does this passage mean? Now, this may be the toughest part of Bible study because we have to dig in deep. We have to use tools and other resources sometimes to get a good grasp on what the passage that we're looking at means. And there's two things that we need to think about when we look at what the passage means. We need to think about something called literary context, and we need to think about something called historical context. Now that's kind of big words, but that's okay. What context means are the words and the world that surrounds the passage that we're reading. So the words, the literary context, and the world, the historical context that surrounds that passage. Literary, what is happening in the book that the passage is found in? How does it fit into the whole of the Bible? Historical, what's happening in that time period? And how does this passage speak into that time period so that we can bring it forward into our time today? How do we get there, right? Well, we need perspective. We need a perspective on whatever passage we're reading. And there's a few things that we can do to gain perspective. First, before you ever read or study any book, you really need to do 5 things. You need to ask who the author is, who wrote it. You need to talk about, you need to ask when was it written. This is time. When was it written and where does it fit into the story of the Bible? You need to determine who it's written to. Who is the audience that it's written to? You need to ask yourself and determine what genre of scripture it is. What style of literature is this book written in? And then you need to figure out the reason that it's written. Now, some of this is actually gained from just a good reading of the text. We can find out that information in there. And sometimes we have to go to outside resources to determine that information. I personally love using the ESV Study Bible. It is packed with really good tools to help in our Bible study type stuff. So I highly recommend that you get one, have one, borrow one. You can get all the tools actually at esv.org if you want to. But after that, when we look at a passage, there's a few things that we can utilize to be good at studying the Bible. One thing is cross-references. If you've ever read the Bible and you've seen like little tiny like letters next to the words that aren't really part of the text, that's a cross-reference. That is usually paired with something in the center column or at the bottom of the page that references a different verse of Scripture that usually, well, that always ties in with whatever it is you're reading. That will often help us get some understanding. I would recommend utilizing those as we study the Bible. Another good thing to help is other translations. I like the ESV translation. Other people use other kind. Sometimes if we use multiple translations of Scripture, it will help us get a really good idea of what it is that we're trying to understand in the text. Another big thing are commentaries. People have written many books. You see some behind me just explaining what Scripture is saying. Now, the ESV Study Bible does have some limited commentary. It's very, very useful. But commentaries that help explain the text really help us get the idea of that literary and historical context so that we can come and we can bring forward and understand what it is that text means. When we take in our reading and we combine it with these other resources, we can bring it out to greater understanding. But it takes time and work and studying. Another thing I like to do is to take bits of the text and paraphrase. After I've read it and I've studied it and I've looked at the understanding of what it means, I like to maybe rewrite some things in my own words, which will often help me have a better idea of what the text means. Hopefully you'll stay tuned for our next video that's about doing the application of the word. Thanks for watching.